Alright folks, today we're talking about a music legend who just passed away. Brian Wilson, co-founder of the Beach Boys, died at the age of 82. And yeah, this one hits different, because Brian wasn't just a singer or a songwriter, he was a full-on musical architect. A tortured genius. A California dreamer who built an entire era of sound, and then nearly drowned in it. So, let's rewind. Brian Douglas Wilson was born on June 20th, 1942, in Inglewood, California. He was the oldest of 3 boys in a house run by a father who was both obsessed with music and completely emotionally unstable. That combo either breaks you or turns you into Brian Wilson. By the time he was a teenager, Brian could hear complex harmonies in his head. He formed the Beach Boys in 1961 with his brothers Dennis and Carl, cousin Mike Love, and friend Al Jardine. And it wasn't just another band, this was surf music with a side of genius. While everyone else was writing catchy tunes, Brian was layering vocal harmonies like a madman, composing orchestrations that would make Beethoven sweat, and obsessing over perfection in the studio. And the result? Hit after hit after hit. Surfin' USA, I Get Around, California Girls. The man was untouchable. Then came 1966. Brian dropped Pet Sounds. It was like the Beatles' Rubber Soul made him mad, and he had to answer with something greater. Pet Sounds was introspective, emotional, weird, brilliant. Paul McCartney called it the best album ever made. And when Paul McCartney is calling your album the best ever, you're in the stratosphere. But here's where it turns dark. After Pet Sounds, Brian dove headfirst into making an even bigger masterpiece called Smile. It was supposed to be his magnum opus, a symphony to God, but the pressure broke him. Drugs, paranoia, his mental health, it all came crashing in. Smile was scrapped. Brian became a recluse. He didn't leave his house. He gained a massive amount of weight. He heard voices. He literally stopped functioning. Enter Eugene Landy, a therapist who basically hijacked Brian's life under the guise of helping him. Landy moved into Brian's home, controlled his food, his medication, his finances, his music. It was some straight-up conservatorship nightmare stuff, long before that word became trendy, thanks to Britney Spears. Landy eventually got kicked to the curb, but the damage was done. Fast forward to the 90s and 2000s. Brian starts to come back. He finishes Smile, finally releasing it in 2004. And it's good. It's weird and beautiful and everything he promised. People cried hearing it live. Not because it was perfect, but because Brian survived long enough to finish what almost killed him. He even reunited with the Beach Boys for a short-lived but meaningful comeback. And yeah, his voice had aged, but the soul still there, always there. Brian Wilson was never your typical rock star. He wasn't the cool guy in sunglasses. He was the fragile genius in a bathrobe, hunched over a piano at 3 in the morning, just trying to translate God into music. And you know, he kind of did. He gave us a sound that still defines summer, still brings chills, still makes grown adults weep when those harmonies hit just right. He struggled. Oh man, did he struggle. With fame, with illness, with family, with the industry. But he made it through to 82, and that's something to celebrate. He lived long enough to be appreciated, loved, and recognized as the musical titan he always was. So today, we don't just mourn Brian Wilson. We remember the sunshine, the genius, the darkness, the comeback, the whole messy masterpiece of a man. Because that's what he gave us. Music that was messy and masterful, just like life. Rest in peace, Brian. You finally caught that perfect wave.